Peter Thiele joining us, political, business, marketing, branding expert. If there's anybody that could handle and help Mike Johnson, it would be our great friend Peter Thiele. Good morning, sir.
I'll tell you what, he would do well to give me a ring, but he has not done so yet. I will say that President Trump is running this government already. The only thing Biden is doing is trying to slow down the process and the progress of the Trump administration. It's an amazing thing to watch that a man of inaction like Joe Biden, all of a sudden his administration seems absolutely dedicated, like a crackhead is to get more crack to protect the bureaucracy. So there you go.
No, it is amazing what's happening. I have to jump in here with you for a second. You're a big sports guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with Doug Gottlieb, the college coach?
Yep.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
So again, as someone who has been at the highest levels, has coached at the highest levels in our beloved field of radio, you're uniquely qualified to talk about this. So you got Doug Gottlieb, who's a coach, and he's still doing a talk show. He gets into a Twitter spat, and everybody, it's funny, they're going, well, Doug does a podcast. No, Doug does a live, vibrant radio show that is podcast afterwards. And I'm thinking to myself, Peter Thiele would be the one to ask this question. What's up with the love affair of podcasts when still dynamic local and national radio makes such a big difference, sir?
Well, and the greatest problem with podcasts is that 99% of them, nobody's listening to them. So that's part of the issue. The other thing is a lot of times podcasts in radio broadcasting are repurposed radio shows, which are two different things. A podcast is a long conversation that can meander and go in different directions. A radio show and a radio interview or segment is usually a focused presentation that's set up to get information or needed ideas out in a quick and concise way. So they're a different deal. It's the love affair with podcasts, and there's a lot to like about podcasts. I like them too. The problem is that I don't have 3 hours at a time to devote to a podcast.
Yeah, and it's funny, unfortunately, with and look, podcasts did wonders for President Trump, but I think people are missing the backbone of the media, and that's local radio.
Yeah, absolutely correct. You're totally correct. It's just, again, when it's brought up, someone was asking me the other day about podcasts, and I just sat there and I said, hey, it's podcasts and radio. I said, it's two different skills. It's like the theater. You goes to a Broadway show or you go to a movie. Well, the actors, their whole behavior, even for the same material, is quite a bit different because when you're on stage, your arms are flailing around, you're yelling out, you're projecting. In a movie or a TV show where a camera is directly on someone, their movements and facial expressions are very, very subtle. It's a whole different ball of wax. And so that's my whole thing with the podcast deal. And the other thing podcasts do not bring that radio shows like yours, Kevin, bring every single day, it's called immediacy. There's an accident on the freeway. Well, guess who's talking about that? One Kevin Miller. It's all of a sudden there's a problem where there's a shortage of blood, or perhaps the food shelter, the food shelf is low on provisions. Well, they call up one guy named Kevin Miller. You get that thing done now. You see, that's the deal.
Our great friend Peter Thiele joining us now. When we last talked to you, you were launching your newsletter. Have you launched it yet? And how can we get a hold of it?
Yeah, you can get a hold of it at what is my website again? You know what? It's early here. MondayMarketingMemo.com, MondayMarketingMemo.com. Get information there. And, of course, my voiceover stuff at voiceoverpeter.com, voiceoverpeter.com. We got that up and running. and that's good. Hey, I want to talk to you about drones.
No, I'm with you, and I'm just getting this Monday marketing memo.com. See, this is what we love about Peter. He's directing me, and he should, but I want to subscribe to it. Again, newsletters are great, and when we're talking about branding tips, Peter is the best that I've ever been involved in, so please check this out. It's a free newsletter. Now, if there's anybody that can define drones over New Jersey, Utah, Idaho, it is one Peter Thiele.
It's obvious that something is going on here. And it's not just some sort of a distraction. It's not just some sort of a right-wing talking point. You have Democratic senators in places like New Jersey and New York. They're saying, what the heck's going on? The Biden administration, there's no question that the Department of Defense knows what's going on here. They know exactly. It's the federal bureaucracy knows exactly. Now, why aren't they telling us? That's a good question. And if it is a nefarious source, and one would hope it is not, I personally believe they should have taken him out a long time ago. But that's me. I'm a simple man, and I'm kind of angry. And anybody gets into our aerospace that's a foreign interest, blow it out of the sky, baby. Blow it out of the sky. That's me.
But it is odd that on This Week you have Mayorkas saying it's cool, and then Chris Christie saying, I saw them in my backyard. It's not cool.
Yeah, and then you have Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey. He has basically said he wants to know what the hell's going on. The New Jersey governor, another Democrat, has said, yeah, I want to know what's going on. So the definition, of course, one of the problems with the Biden administration is the lack of transparency. And Stephanie Ruhle with MSNBC was talking about the difference between Trump and Biden. She called up to get an interview with Trump, and Trump talked to her directly. To get to Biden or to Harris, you have to go through 60 people. Complete handlers, complete stuff. So this administration is absolutely, I can't wait for them to be gone. By the way, that bill, I'm glad they pulled that bill. And I'm glad this is being renegotiated. And if the government's shut down for 20 days, it's shut down for 20 days. It's Trump is riding in. He's got Vivek and Elon. He's got RFK Jr. and the rest of his team. And this is already changing. And realize this, except for some of the pardons that Biden is making, including people with child porn. If you're a foreign national, let's say you're close to the Chinese government, which was accused of funding Hunter Biden's sort of consultancy, all of a sudden a bunch of Chinese commies are free and on their way back to Beijing. That's where we are at.
Peter, can you hang on for a moment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. We're going to talk more with Peter Thiele coming up. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. We're sorry for that back-to-back Kevin Millers. I know my friend Peter Thiele is going, I trained you better than that, Miller, so we apologize for that, but some great programs there. We want you to be a part of it. Of course, we want you to learn from our great friend Peter Thiele, who is a branding expert, political expert, MondayMarketingMemo.com, MondayMarketingMemo.com for all your marketing needs. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I also wanted to speak with you just a little bit about the holidays. And, of course, this whole next week, we're going to be Friday at closing time. People will be running out of their office. A lot of people will have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. And some companies open up on Thursday. But as you go in to enjoy the holiday, it's make sure you remember the reasons behind it, but also remember the people in your life, your friends, your family, your foes, your enemies. Remember them all fondly. And I often, Kevin, as you know, I'll send out a greeting on the holiday. I'll text that out. And frequently I'll text people that don't like me.
That's what I love about you. You have no problem with confrontation. You never have as long as I've known you.
And I don't do it in a mean way.
No,
I
you don't.
just text them. I just text them, "Hey Joe, I hope you have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Your buddy Peter." And I realize that bothers the hell out of them. So that's why I do it.
Our great friend Peter Thiele joining us. Let's get a little deeper, though. You and I, we're about the same age. We grew up in the age when, we did as we were told, whether it was Watergate or Gerald Ford or what have you. But Donald Trump is really disrupting just our entire thought process, going back to your point that you mentioned to us earlier, where he's not even in office, yet he's running the government. In the old days, we would go, and even Mike Johnson a couple days ago, well, there's nothing we can do. We're going to fix it when Trump gets in, and he's already running things. Can you, again, as an American, as a media expert, can you define this great disruptor that is saying, no, that's not acceptable. We're going to do it how we should?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why. Well, Trump is a disruptor, perfectly. The thing, Kevin, is that Trump knows what he's doing. He's already been there for 4 years. So there's no mystery. There's no mystery about what this job is. There's no mystery about what he wants to accomplish. There's no mystery of who he wants on his team. This is set and ready to go. And as we've learned from the polling, there were no internal polls by the Democrats or the Republicans that showed Kamala Harris winning in November. So really, Trump has been in transition team mode since July. And Trump's energy, Kevin, it's hard to believe that he's 78 years old, because this guy his energy level is over the top. This guy is going after everything. He understands why he was elected, and he's a get results guy. I love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the media, they have no idea. By the way, speaking of the media, George Stephanopoulos.
Yes, I was going there. Thank you.
Yeah, well, sorry for taking away your questions. So it came down that ABC had settled with Trump over calling him a rapist. And the first thing George Stephanopoulos does is that he closes his X account. What a wuss! What an absolute wuss! A chicken. And the idea that ABC has been stuck with this guy, who was essentially his job in 1992 was to call women who accused Bill Clinton of sexual impropriety, of calling them sluts and whores and discrediting women, and instead of just believing all women. And I believe all women. Yep, all of them.
Peter Thiele, let me go a little deeper with you on this one on KIDO Talk Radio. You have been in the media business. You have worked in New York City. You have dealt with talent, the best talent in the country. You yourself have been the best talent in the country. You are fearless when it comes to beliefs. Let's go to Stephanopoulos and how big this was and how he used to get away with saying rape, and that ABC saw the liability. As a media insider, can you take us behind the scenes why ABC settled where they, in other words, they didn't want to be part of the resistance? They said, well, it's better to get in line.
I think that it's the amount of profit and the reason for them to go defend themselves and to sully their reputation, that it's because of just the amount of choices that people have for information and stuff. ABC and I think NBC's to a certain extent, CBS as well, all of a sudden they realize, you know what, we got to cover things fairly. And we've allowed political operatives to be in our news operation. which is completely wrong. Now, I will say this: companies hate being sued, and they hate the whole process of it. And if there is something to it, companies now would rather settle than go to court. They feel like they will lose much more money. Just go ahead and look at ABC. They get a nice plaque at the Trump Presidential Museum. That's like a win-win. All right. So when I was in New York, my morning guy at the time was reading a news story from the New York Post about the late, great James Caan, one of the great actors of all time. So many wonderful roles, including that one where he was the author with the deranged woman. That what was that one called?
Kathy Bates was the one. Yes,
Kathy Bates.
Yes,
yeah. And he was, of course, in The Godfather and all those different roles. Well, there was an article in the New York Post about James Caan. We can say that now because, well, he's dead. That James Caan, he had attended the funeral of a mob boss and was sat in the front row for this funeral, and was a man of that was held up. And, of course, a lot of people in the entertainment industry, especially if you were in the entertainment industry before 1980, you had interactions with wise guys because wise guys owned nightclubs. They owned venues. And the wise guys also took care of actors and actresses and singers. They protected them. But James Caan wrote this thing that it was an article and actually demanded, or that he would sue, a 3-minute statement that his attorneys wrote. And the radio station that I was running was required to run this every hour of the morning show for like 3 days. It was completely unhinged. And the company I worked for, instead of going to court, and believe me, they could have won the thing. They just said, you know what? Let's just do it and go. Well, a $30 million verdict or a $100 million verdict against ABC, they don't want to pay that. That's a huge issue for them to go out and do because their profit margin is not what it was 5 years ago, or quite frankly, 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. A final question for you, sir, unless you want to throw something else in. What do you make of Election Day, the day after Election Day, where CNN is tanking, MSNBC is tanking? Those trends don't happen overnight, as you know, as being the professional that you are.
Yeah, well, they lied. Everything they were saying was a complete lie. It was a complete fabrication, and people aren't stupid. Now, people may disagree with you and I, Kevin, on majority of our worldview on things. It doesn't mean they're morons. So you have MSNBC and CNN, and the big three were saying things as fact, which were complete fabrication. They were actually going off press releases instead of going in and finding the inside stuff. It's you know people, and I know people, Kevin, that are big shots within state and federal Republican Democratic parties. And whenever it comes to these types of elections, this type of stuff, I call them, or I text them. Hey, what are you seeing? What do internals show? And you get the information. And the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, their internal polls for elections are always the most accurate because they have to decide how they're going to spend their resources in the closing days of the campaign. Well, CNN and MSNBC, instead of having connections and building relationships with sources that are going to give them the truth, they were just hoping beyond hope that Kamala was going to win and lying their butts off. And thank God they went down, and it's wonderful. I like it.
Peter Thiele, final Christmas message. This will be the last Peter Thiele of the year. Then we'll pick it up January 2nd. But, and again, you don't like it when I get this way, but I do. I owe you so much, and I appreciate you, sir, and I wish you the very, very best. And I just want to
Well, I
thank you.
appreciate you. And the one thing I can say is that I've had a wonderful opportunity in my career to hire amazing talent, and you are obviously one of those people. You're a thoroughbred. Boise is lucky to have you, and I just have been blessed enough to be associated with great talent. And whether I just bump into them accidentally or I'm making a good choice on the matter, that's for others to discuss. I can just say this: during this holiday season, work matters. There's lots of stuff that people pay full attention to, and sometimes over their family and friends. During this time, be focused on your family and friends, and be focused on the reason for the season, and enjoy the holiday, and watch a lot of football, and which is also good.
And the most important lesson I've learned from Peter Thiele, just kidding, that when you come in on a job interview, do not order the most expensive thing at Landry's.
Correct.
Because you're not going to get the job.
In fact, often just to ask the boss, well, I'm not ready yet. Why don't you vote? And all of a sudden he gets a hamburger. You know what? I'm going to get that hamburger. Sounds pretty doggone good. I'm getting that one too.
My best to you and your family, and I wish you good health and success, brother. We will talk to you Thursday the 2nd, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Talk to you then. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Our great friend Peter Thiele. Appreciate him.